What happens when your Irish cruise takes the same final route as the iconic Titanic? It's the stuff of legend. Stay tuned as we take on the Titanic Belfast Museum at the next to the last stop of its fateful voyage. It's 112 years later, and we find out even though the ships might be getting fancier, you can never outclass a legend. It all starts here, slipway number 2 at the Harland & Wolff shipyard, the very place where Titanic was designed, built, and launched. The Titanic Belfast Museum tells the story of Her Majesty's majestic ship from her conception, through her construction and launch, all the way to her maiden voyage and that notorious night in naval history. To fortify us on this journey, we needed to get our epic first-class feast vibe on, just like in the grand dining halls on the ship. Enter the Pantry, Titanic Belfast's must-try restaurant inspired by the meeting halls from the White Star Line ships. It's a smorgasbord of big and small plate burgers, steaks, and some Mexican fare, but the specials are the savory choices you won't want to miss during your visit. We opted for the traditional layered flavor of the Irish lamb stew, that light, tangy soda bread, and the thick, juicy goodness of the sausage roll. Love them damn sausage rolls. None of them disappointed with their rich, authentic taste of the Belfast region. Too bad we couldn't borrow some of that fancy fine bone first-class china that was on display. Look at that swanky stuff. Legendary or loathsome? A Titanic foodie fiasco. Hey, wondering what they ate on the Titanic itself? Check out these menus from the actual voyage. Let's check out the elegance and opulence of first-class dining. They might have been rich, but they like to eat some filling and really strange-sounding meals. Take, for instance, the cocky leeky. I know it sounds like something you have after being at the brothel, but it actually is a Scottish soup dish consisting of leeks and peppered chicken stock. Traditionalists garnish this with a julienne of prunes. Way to keep that regularity at sea. Then there's the chicken galantine. This very dense loaf of chicken, sausages, parsley, stuffing, currants, and walnuts. Again, I hope the plumbing was good on Her Majesty's ship. The corned ox tongue. Looks about as good as it sounds. Just like corned beef, except you get to have the visual of an ox tongue being yanked out as you chew and chew and chew. For second-class passengers, there was still a very swanky dining room, but again, some bizarre-sounding dishes. The big ones that stuck out to me were the Yarmouth bloaters. Sounds delectable, doesn't it? Yuck. The gamey herring were prepared by the fishwives of Great Yarmouth on England's east coast. The fish are cold smoked, salted, and whole. The name bloater comes from the Swedish term blota, which means soaked or steeped. For third-class passengers, they were down in the darkness. Look at that. But what sucked was they couldn't be in sweats and a t-shirt. They still had to dress up and be treated like they were poor. Rice soup was on the dinner menu on April 14, 1912, that fateful day. Look how excited they are to eat rice soup. Boy, not really. The consistency is that of porridge. You know, what the three bears ate. Finally, it was time to take our tickets and head up to the Titanic Experience, a 2-hour 10-hall exhibit that tells the entire genesis of the ship. Room 1 is the boomtown Belfast, setting the stage for the textile revolution that grew most rapidly during the 1860s and by the end of the 19th century was the linen capital of the world. Vintage pictures provide insight into this bustling town in that era. The first part of the tour takes you through the complex process of building the ship and its many phases. Lots of period photos and interesting facts are provided. Like, did you know that it took 3 million rivets to build the Titanic? That's a lot of sore hands. Then comes the only ride of its kind in the world, the Shipyard Dark Ride. Opening in 2012, along with the $100 million museum on the 100th anniversary of the sinking, it's a 4.5-minute experience of what it was like to be in the hot, steamy bowels of the shipyard, and gives riders the sights and sounds of what the workers endured on a daily basis.
World It was skilled work. You had to bend them more than you needed because the frame straightened out a little when it cooled.
And he put it in the hole in the plate for the holder up. There were two of us on the other side of the plate to hold her up. We had to hammer there a bit so it filled the hole before it turned dull red. And after work, I get scared working down in that double bottom. You only had candles for light.
A legendary lubricated launch. The Titanic was launched on May 31st, 1911. At 12:13 p.m. at Harland and Wolff, the event had been highly publicized and a crowd of over 100,000 people gathered. 22 tons of soap and tallow or train oil aided the movement, and the Titanic moved 12 knots away from slipway number 3 within 62 seconds. She was now ready for her maiden voyage. Another part of the tour we found fascinating showed the sleeping quarters of Titanic, all the way from the bunk beds of steerage, all the way up through the swanky beds and digs of the upper crust. This is when a realization hit us. Our Norwegian cruise of Ireland actually was following part of Titanic's maiden voyage from Southampton to Belfast to Cork, which was then Queensland. We were only skipping Cherbourg. It gave us goosebumps. Attention everyone on deck. We interrupt this episode for a special report. Cruise ships, now and then. In this corner we have the Norwegian Star out of Papenburg, Germany. 965 feet long, 105 feet wide, weighing in at over 91,000 tons. Over 2,300 passengers, 1,000 crew, and goes 25 knots. 2 main dining rooms, 3 swimming pools, and 8 elevators. In the other corner, we have the Titanic out of Belfast, Ireland. 852 feet long, 92 feet wide, weighing in at 46,000 tons. It was holding 2,200 passengers, 900 crew, and going 21 knots. She has 2 main dining rooms, a swimming pool, and a Turkish bath. The cruise liners might be getting bigger and more boisterous, but none of them will outclass the legend of the Titanic. A ship they built a 100 million pound museum for 100 years later. We will now leave you with a moment of silence at the end of this episode to remember those who were lost, but their memories live on. Thanks for watching.
As it may seem, when this lifeboat was being wrecked, when we stranded in overturned and Darlene was drowned. Naturally, I was very frightened by this time, and
It's never too late to take your legendary trip of a lifetime. Join us every week for a new episode on our YouTube channel at Hollywood Greg LA, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.